So for those of you that I haven't met, guys, Adam Barclay is my name. I'm the CEO for Gallery Group, and joining me today will be Michael Sheargold. Michael is just logging on now, and here he is. Here he is.
As if you planned that so beautifully, Adam, like we planned it. How you doing? Gee, the sun looks like it's shining up on the Gold Coast today.
It's a stunning day up here. We had a little bit of weather yesterday, but today it's all fine.
Ah, it's very, very good. Hey, one of the things that, and Adam, you're doing an intro, so I'll let you continue. And I agree, we'll just let a few people to jump online. A lot of great feedback on the last two sessions, Adam, that have been coming through as well.
Absolutely, and certainly part of today, I think one of the real values that we got from the last session was that feedback, the feedback survey that we asked the guys to complete. So from that, we've tried to cater to that for this session, guys. So there's only a dozen questions. So if you can, at the end of this, we do need your unfiltered, candid feedback, guys, so that each time we do this, we get better. And it's all about providing you information that you're looking for. We're here to be a resource to you, and we can only do that if you tell us what you're looking for.
And Adam, it's fair to say we have low sensitivity meters. So therefore, if there's something that you feel you'd like either more of or less of, which is a great way of sort of framing it up, then that would be useful.
Absolutely.
Adam, it'd be fair to say we're now looking a bit of ceiling for you, but a little bit more hand gestures would be good. If you could just, oh, okay. Hold the hands. But I think the combination, guys, that we've attempted to look at is to give you some best thinking in terms of some now sales strategies that can be useful to help you either be in front of more clients or winning more clients that you're in front of. And then, Adam, you know, the component that you're really bringing in is that market intel, what's happening, and then how can you take that market intel back and apply it in a very effective way.
Yeah, look, I think today, and we'll jump into it shortly, it's really now about looking forward. I think, and again, it's poignant because it was some feedback that we got from the last session. People, I'll say we've moved past COVID in talking about it on a daily basis. I'll caveat that. There's already been a question. When is your Premier opening the borders? Soon, we all hope, guys.
But I love the fact that the guys are asking you and I, when is the Premier? Like, we have the direct line. Hang on, let me just check.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, at the risk of being political, Anastasia Palaszczuk is not my chosen Premier. I'm going out on a limb, but I'll just make that statement. So I can't accept the blame for what's going on, guys. So,
and we're not going to go anywhere near the US elections right now either, are we? No.
Let's leave that for someone else.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We're 12. I think that we need to respect those that have jumped on at 12 o'clock, and we should jump into it, in my view.
That sounds absolutely awesome. Adam Nelson or Adam Barclay, you just need to give me screen share authority, please.
So I believe I've done. I've made you a panelist.
You made me a panelist. I just can't share my screen, but you.
Right. Okay.
Top little right, you should see one to say can screen share.
Okay.
And we haven't started yet, guys. We're going to start as soon as this piece of tech is done. Thanks, ASR. Tim, great to have you here.
That should have you.
And it's looking very, very good.
Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely. All right. So let's kick into it officially. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gallery Homes Sales Navigator program. I'm Michael Sheargold, and here with me is the one, the only CEO, the grand poobah of Gallery Group is Adam Barclay. Adam, great to have you here.
Thank you, Michael, and pleased to be here for Navigator number 3. And I think we might see ourselves transfer or transition from Navigator post this one back into Accelerator again. I think we've managed our way collectively through some interesting times, and it's time now to start talking about how we accelerate those sales again.
Yeah. So one of the feedback points that came out of the previous sessions, Adam, was to the guys would like a little bit more work on how to generate referrals, increase the referral business. Then we're going to look at some real specifics of the Southeast Queensland marketplace and some of the dynamics that are occurring there, Adam, and how to actually capitalise on that and build it. And then finally from there, we'll wrap up with Q&As. But guys, please use your chat or the Q&As as we go through. So if there's something there you'd like more information on or details on, away we go. Adam, I am looking at those 2 pictures on the slide and thinking, well, is that a former version of you and I that that the marketing team has secured along those lines? So impressive when we look at that.
My cheeks are looking a little bit fuller at the moment, it's fair to say.
Well, there's nothing like COVID to actually help you have full cheeks.
Yeah, let's call that COVID.
Yeah, that sounds like a valid reason if I ever heard one. So we thought up front, let's do some quick work on the referral process. So you might want to take some notes on this because it does give you the ability to start to analyse and have a look at, well, where can we actually add value and put some meat behind it. So the power of referrals is really the conversation we're going to embark on. Now, I covered this at one of the sales accelerators last year, Adam, so it's appropriate that we bring this up. And the reason I think it is so appropriate we bring it up, I feel for the last, maybe the first the last 6 months, almost if you'd gone out and asked for referrals, it would have been a little bit too opportunistic in some ways. But now it's actually an opportunity to help friends of your clients, of the people that you know, on their journey of success around securing their financial future. And I think everyone's had this reflection, Adam, as to, hey, what is my financial future? Can I necessarily trust the organisation that I've known for this length of time? Or do I need to bring it back to me and how I'm going to be operating and what's my pathway in financial future? If you want to tip anything in there, Adam?
I totally agree, Michael. I think if we wind the clock back to, say, June and July, it would have felt, it could have been misconstrued, but now certainly there's enough activity in the marketplace. There's, albeit that I accept entirely that there's certain segments of the market and geographies that are at different speeds, if I call it that, but there's certainly enough activity in the marketplace to be asking for those referrals based on the business that you're doing with your clients.
Yes, yeah, fantastic. So let's jump in and have a look at these strategies. I know, Adam, you've got a fair bit to cover, so I'll do this fairly quickly. So I'd love you to think of this as a referral system. Why? The best in the business think of it more as a system than I'm going to do this referral action. So I'd love you to get that into the mode. So what needs to be in there? Firstly, we're going to capitalize on the relationships we've got. Second thing is we need to get reviews happening. I'm a big believer in shifting from a testimonial to a review. And that's a Google review, that's a review on our own website, that's a video review, that's a written review, whatever format is going to be most appropriate, and then utilize those from a marketing point of view to drop them into the conversation. And one of the reviews we're going to look for is a review where someone has referred us to a friend or a colleague, and they said how great that has been from a friendship point of view, and putting that into play. Next is requests. We need to become great at requests. So one of my favorite sayings, I did this at a Sales Navigator last year, and that is, if you don't ask, the answer is no. And I actually collected quite a bit of cash on that particular Sales Navigator. Adam, you might remember that, where I asked anyone got a $50 note, and I had a lot of people giving me $50 notes, which is brilliant. So it's requesting it. A lot of people think, oh, I should just wait back and I'm not getting referrals. Well, are you requesting them? And are we setting it up in the framework of our communication that it's normal to have that come through? Next is rewards. And by the way, the rewards don't need to necessarily be financial, but they're closing the loop. They're actually saying thank you to the person. There's rewarding them with finding out that this person is a golfer. This person is a foodie. This person loves gardening. So, you know, we go to the relevant bookstores and we find these amazing coffee table books that is about gardening, and we send that to them and say, hey, thanks so much for the opportunity to help one of your friends, colleagues on their journey of financial success. Here's a little gift to say thank you. Boom, that goes to them. It's like, wow. And by the way, I don't believe in the, you know, the branded glasses being a reward. Adam, they tend to go to the caravan if you do have a caravan. They don't really get utilized, but a coffee table book, a beautiful book that's relevant to me is huge. Obviously, if I refer someone to you, I want them to get a result, because, and I've covered this with some of you before, is the reputation that is on the line is not yours, it's actually mine. If I've referred someone to you, it's my reputation on the line. So you've got to get the results and achieve the results around that. So they're the 5 R's that we need to take on board around this. Adam, any points you'd like to reinforce on that?
Michael, particularly in this business, when from the time that someone enters into a contract to the time that we've completed a home for them, and whether it be an owner-occupier or an investor, making sure we've got a communication platform that keeps the owner, the client and those around them involved, and how that handover process works is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
So I think that you cannot, and that's really that relationship is built on that process. So we've identified through some of our sales partners that we had some holes in that process, and we've got some really exciting things that we're about to put out into the marketplace in terms of our communication with our clients, referral partners on our construction portal. And I think we're doing that not just for Gallery, but we're doing it so that our sales partners, it helps to grow their brand, which drive referrals for their business, which we in turn hope comes back to us.
And I think, Adam, this is that point, no news is not good news. So if I've actually got something being built in another area, so, you know, I can't drive past and see it, the reliance on the client portal and the construction portal is even more important. So when we can lean into that and really follow through with it, it makes such a difference, because now I'm understanding where we're at and how that process is developing. Great.
So yeah, they'll start to see now messaging coming from our client portal out to all those listed on each job, and it aligns with every one of those action items within the client portal. So if the contour survey has been ordered or the contour survey has been received, the client gets notification and encourages them to go back to the portal and get a full update. So it keeps our referral partners up to date, and it keeps the clients up to date as well. So it's taken some work, but I think that's going to really add some value through that process, in particular for those remote clients.
Absolutely. And it clearly means that clients are feeling informed with it. And by the way, this could be one of the reasons that you get a referral, because you've got someone who says, yeah, I've loved the process. My sales partner is brilliant, or, you know, my consultant was brilliant. Then the construction process was fantastic, and I've got this really cool portal. Let me show it to you on my phone. Boom, 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 boom. And I go, oh wow, that's amazing. So you've got this really at your fingertips. So the 10 referral strategies that I'd like to reinforce, and these are strategies. So take these, apply these, they will actually make a difference. The other was a framework of thinking that you've got to have these R's in place. These are now specific strategies that you can take away and apply pretty much immediately to get a result. So the first one is, it's okay to expect referrals. So referrals are normal. You know, so if you get a call out of the blue, or if someone arrives, I'd love you to start using the line, a lot of my business comes from referral, just wondering who referred you. Or having on a form on your website, if someone puts an inquiry in, you know, who referred you. Now, even if no one's referred them, by the mere fact you're asking who's referred you, it means it's normal you get referrals. So you're setting the context. This is a really good example of pre-framing, where you're framing the fact that, hey, get ready, the referrals are normal within this business. So not, we got a referral, it's like, oh, how many referrals did we actually have come through?
Michael, just if we can answer a question, there was a question from one of the guys. What about cash gift rather than a gift?
Yeah, would you like me to give feedback on that?
Please.
Yeah. There is less thought in that, and just be very, very careful to around going the cash way. I would rather, here's some gold class movie tickets. Here's a great bottle of wine. Unfortunately, we're not in the government sector where we've got to declare these sort of things, and it's much easier to manage it through. But I would caution you with cash. And if you can find out more so what the person is interested in and what they like, to be able to capitalize on that. But you know, there could be certain exceptions to that. You've got a financial advisor, and you've got a relationship that it's worthwhile actually exploring and putting that in place. Then by all means you could do it. I just put a cautionary note to it.
You had a comment that gift cards work well.
Gift cards are exceptional. You know, you find out that this person is really interested in golf or gardening, and you buy them a subscription to a magazine. I know there's less magazines around now, so but it means that every single month or every second month they're actually getting an update or something coming through around that gift card, around a magazine coming through. So absolutely. You know, gold class movie tickets. And look, there could be situations where, you know, one of the rewards might be is once we can actually go to movies and connect with people and not do elbows and sort of like a distance hello, you know, doing a movie night where you might actually hire a cinema. You know, cinemas are pretty cheap on some Sundays and also on Mondays. But once again, read your audience. So you might read the audience, and I'll just jump out and share this. You might read the audience, Adam, and you go, okay, a lot of my clients are young professionals. So think of a movie that they'd actually love to go and be part of. Or a lot of my clients have got young families. All right, well, you know, Trek 25 would be a good movie or Shrek 25 would be a great movie to go and have. So read the play and start to have the cinema experience. Once again, you'll connect with clients differently in that environment than ever before. And Adam, I think you're seeing items I can't see on the chat, so please chime them in.
I'll keep them coming through.
A referral case study. So when you're utilizing a case study, you say, look, this client was referred to us by one of our other clients. Just start out a referral, a case study that way. And here's the situation they're in, and here's what we actually went through and put in place. So you're seeing this, you're dropping it into the conversation. You must train and remind them. So remember, a lot of my business comes from referrals, and the dialogue I love to use, any friends, family members, or work colleagues looking for any advice on investment properties, I'm literally a phone call away. I'd love to help them. So you're letting them know this in advance.
I think that's worth saying that line again. And we're speaking more to, you use the words investment properties then, but we do have some partners that are specific to the first home buyer space. So it can be transposed for that. But I think, guys, that you really should listen to those words that Michael just used. It's if you just say that word for word, they will start to come. Absolutely.
So I'll absolutely say it again. In fact, I could get you to say it now, Adam. You'll lecture out of it. Are there any friends? So keep in mind, any friends, family members, or work colleagues looking for any advice on investment properties, any advice on their first home, I would love to help. I'd love to actually support them on their journey. So you're reminding them, you're training them to say it and say, oh, we just had a referral come through from this other client, and you know, here's what we're able to do. By the way, remember, any friends, family members, or work colleagues looking for any advice in investment properties, any advice on their first purchase, I'd love to help them. I'd love to help them secure something. So you're getting that neat kind of dialogue in there. The newsletter should be driving to the website, and once again on the website, here's a case study of a client who's referred to us, and here's what actually happened. The social should always drive to your website. So as much as possible, the click-through lands on the website, and here should be maybe a video of a couple of clients who have been referred to you, and here's what happened. So you see we're seeding it quite nicely. Obviously, when we're talking with our existing clients, we want to have something worthwhile sharing. And, you know, Adam, yesterday when we talked briefly, I talked about in the last Sales Navigator of doing care calls to value calls. So a care call is, how are you going? Is everything going okay? That's an important one. You want to shift from a care call to a value call. And a value call is, hey, just sort of give you a quick update on this. And you can move from a care call to a value call to a referral call. Why? You know that particular client situation is quite stable, and they're not going to actually go for another investment property for maybe another 18 months, 2 years. So you've got to move care, value, referral. We quite simply say, I thought I'd give you a quick update. Here's what we've just learned from the gallery group about what's happening in the Queensland market. It probably means your land value of the property that you put in place in this area has actually gone up some 10%, which has done a brilliant job of increasing your equity position in that property. By the way, remember, any friends, family members, work colleagues looking for any advice around investment properties, I'm literally a phone call away. I'd love to help them out.
And I think very quickly, when you talked about that value call and talking about some increase in pricing, now is a wonderful time to do that. And I'll give some numbers shortly around some market movements. It's people that have signed contracts a little while ago, and they've already got 10% uplift in their land. So it's a huge opportunity for those value calls, guys. That's a really nice message to give, and ask for those referrals at the same time. Yeah, fantastic.
Create an event, you know, pretty much they're not offline so much at the moment, they're online. So, you know, have we got a guest speaker? Adam, I'm sure, I'm tipping you in there. You'd be available if someone was going to grab all of their clients together and wanted to talk about something we're doing today, that you'd be available. Is that correct, Adam?
Absolutely available. And I'm sitting in my office, absolutely.
Yep, brilliant. So you know, create an online event in terms of a market update. Refer them to someone else so they actually get the behavior. Say, I'd like to refer you on to such and such. The reason I'm referring you is because this person is boom, 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 boom. You all the way you're training them. The digital interview, what that's important. If I refer someone to Adam, there's a damn good chance they're going to go and do a search online and go, Adam Barclay, and what's going to come up on Adam Barclay and what am I going to see and go through. So once again, have a look on your website. How does your profile look? You know, how do you look on LinkedIn and all those sort of environments? And is it relevant? Is it up to date? And is it speaking the language of, you know, a lot of clients actually are referred to me to deal with this. Just get it into your language. And the final one here, and I know, Adam, you love this one, is Ghost Voicemail. It's a very cool piece of tech. And that piece of tech can be, for example, after today, you could record to Ghost Voicemail, hi there. So you can't say, hi, Adam, but you can say, hi there via phone. I thought I'd give you a quick update. I've just had a briefing on what's happening in the Queensland marketplace. It probably means that anyone who has bought in the last X amount of time has now realised a 10% increase in value, or Adam, whatever you're going to share. And I thought I'd give you a quick update. By the way, as I said to you before, if you've got anyone who's wanting any advice on property, I'm a phone call away. I'd love to help them out with their next investment property. Bang, sent. And what Ghost Voicemail does, guys, you don't need to worry about the magic, but it doesn't ring on your phone. It actually goes straight through to your voicemail. So it lands in voicemail. Now, the only thing is you can't say, hi, Adam. And the only other thing I do, if you've got 4,000 people on your database, do not send it to 4,000, right? Do it in some phases. So based on a response, you can actually deal with it and so on. So they're the 10 strategies that I absolutely endorse and recommend, that if you were to lean into those, and probably the thing to do after this session, Adam, is for the sales partners who've tuned in, as a team, brainstorm and say, which of these resonate for our marketplace and our clients, and which of these are we going to put in place to really build some amazing momentum.
Michael, just to talk to ghost messaging, it's been used in our office, and to your point, if you've got a substantial database, be very careful not to go out to too many people at once. You will be staggered at the response rates that you get from this as a strategy, guys. It really is. It's so easy to do, and it gets such a great response.
Absolutely. So Adam, I'm almost done. I've just got a couple of little quick win pieces of dialogue. Have I got time to share those?
Absolutely. I do want to say very quickly that one of our key sales partners has worked extremely hard over the last, I'll say 18 months to 2 years on their referral business. And I know that their referral business now is worth about 30% of all business they do. So it's extraordinary. It's significantly cheaper than going out and looking for new leads that are unsolicited. And because it's referred, they're a lot closer to a transaction. There's already that inherent rapport that's come from it. So it's kudos to that sales partner. If you get your head around it and say, these are the things that we're going to do, I would challenge everyone that's here today to ask Gallery how we can help with that process. We're committed to it because, again, the laws of reciprocity that I talk about all the time, guys, mean that if we're helping you do it, some of it will spill back to us and we will benefit also. We want everyone that's here today to get huge success.
And Adam, you and I are not particularly good on the hair metaphor. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen with the hair. But I do think, although I have got a photo of you as evidence of a particular party that at some point in time I will share.
Yeah, that's not fit for public consumption, Michael.
Okay, not fit for public consumption. I'll take that on board. But I think the key thing is this is a build over time. So some of these might happen quickly, but some of it might be the fact that you're starting to educate and starting to see a shift. And look, if this could mean for each of our sales partners in 2021 an extra 20 deals, this is a fantastic strategy. It could be an extra 30 deals. This is a brilliant strategy for you to put some energy and effort into. So it needs to be on the agenda of your weekly meetings. What are we doing this week in terms of generating referrals, and what conversations can we have to bring it into play?
It's also low dollar cost, Michael. It's not, you're not spending a lot of money to do this. It's just what I would say is effort and discipline in continuing to do it. Don't expect to, as you say, implement it today. If you don't get a result in November, December, you can't stop. The seeds are planted and they will take time to grow.
Absolutely. So this is all about the digital interview, making sure that when someone meets you digitally, what's the impression that they actually get. The best thing to do, though, is don't Google search yourself, because Google knows it's you and will give you what you want to see. Have someone else on another computer Google you and see what they actually come up with. A little tip on that one. So referral dialogue, there's only a couple here to go through quickly. So the first one is change referrals to introductions. So, is there anyone that you'd like to introduce, or, I was introduced to this particular client and blah, blah, blah. So just that word introductions is quite neat. The second, we'll be checking on your progress. And as you know, if you've got any friends, family members I could help with, I'd love you to introduce them to me. This is a really pointed one. Are there 3 people that similar to yourself who we could help, who we could support, who we could help on their particular financial journey? Are there 3 people you could think of who are in a similar situation, or who are looking to buy their first investment property, or who you're looking to get into the first home buyers market, or who might want to take advantage of some of the government grants that are existing at the moment that I could really help advance that. And the final one here is, who do you know who's next most likely to do this? So it's not do you know anyone, because everyone says no, but who do you know who's next most likely to do this? So that was the quickie on referrals, and by quickie it's taken us about half an hour. but I do feel that this has the ability to turn some amazing amounts of business your way and really build some impressive momentum with that. So, you know, I'm now sort of passing the baton, Adam, from me over to you. I know you've done some fantastic work behind the scenes around that. And by the way, if you wanted just to put into the chat any key things or any key takeaways that you've gained out of what we've been through, all of that. One of the challenges when I go through and share referral strategies with great people is sometimes, Adam, they go, this is really obvious and it's basic and it's common sense. Yes, correct. And it's how do you turn that common sense into common practice so we can really start to add some value with that.
Correct. Absolutely. Okay, so you're going to share, you'll roll on into next part of the presentation, Michael?
I am going to shift into the mode of now.
Okay, so guys, we're going to sorry, there's been a question, can we put that page back up? I think that was your referral strategies, Michael, referral dialogue. So maybe we'll just maybe put the points up here. So guys, if you wanted to take maybe take a photo of that or even a screen grab, that'll let you jump into that. If there's anything you need or would like from today, guys, just sing out and we'll be able to pass information on to you. Just a quick comment, Michael, some feedback. We all think number 5 was awesome. So who do you think is most likely to? So yeah, it's a closed-ended question that, as you say, will make people think, which is great.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so there's lots loaded in some of that linguistics, guys. And, you know, I think the simplest way to do this, Adam, is to be able to say, okay, this next week, every person I speak with, I'm going to ask, who do you know who's next most likely? Okay, next I'm going to say, by the way, any friends, family members or work colleagues looking for any advice, I'd love to help out. And then the next week you're going, okay, are there 3 people in a similar situation to yourself? Are there 3 people you could think of who, blah, blah, blah. And if you just do that between now and the end of this year, I guarantee 2021, in terms of referral business, it's just going to bubble to the surface quite beautifully. The
only reason it won't work is if you don't ask the question.
Yes, and I talk about something called FTI, and I was in a session earlier today with a team in Queensland, and I did a high risk and I asked them what FTI stands for. I'm not going to repeat what they thought it stood for, but FTI stands for failure to implement. What would you ask you that one, Adam? So yeah, the only thing that's getting in the way of this is FTI, failure to implement. So make a decision, implement it, and you'll make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So over to you.
All right. So guys, this is going to be pretty quick in as much as there's a fair bit of content to get through. So I just want to look backwards and say, okay, from when we had our first Sales Navigator, which was sort of April, May, what's happened in the marketplace in that time, and then identify the opportunities moving forward and overlaying that with some strategies for success, because it's absolutely getting busier out in the marketplace right now. So it's all about how you deliver outcomes. Michael? So guys, just to set a baseline here, this is more Southeast Queensland focused, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, this is some CoreLogic data that came out on the 3rd of September, so really current information. And this is just about looking at the East Coast capital cities, Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. So Sydney's house prices, 985,000, Melbourne 781 and Brisbane 557. So I'm now talking from an affordability context. Brisbane sits as obviously the preferred in terms of affordability. If we roll on to the next slide, you'll see what that means in terms of dwelling value to income ratio. So Sydney, so this means annual income, the multiple in terms of the average house price. So Sydney is sitting at 9, Melbourne at 8, then Hobart, Adelaide, and Brisbane's at 5.9. So from an affordability context, whether someone's in that investment or in that owner-occupier space, Brisbane sits in terms of its the broader. When it's talking Brisbane, it is in fact talking about Greater Brisbane, so Gold Coast, Brisbane, and Sunshine Coast. So at 5.9. it is considered to be exceedingly affordable in the national context, guys. Next, percentage of household income, and we all know that the banks look at 30% in terms of affordability. Sydney again at 45.2%, Melbourne at 40%, Brisbane is significantly lower at 29%. So there's a good story for Brisbane in terms of why invest in Brisbane. If we then move on and look at some information about annual population growth. So this is the annual population growth, and you can see quite clearly the 10-year average has been at about $350,000, 350,000 people per year. Obviously with COVID, it's less than half that, down on 153,000. So it's then saying, okay, where has this population growth come from? The next slide shows us the benefactors historically of where that overseas migration has come from. Sydney, and as we all know, Melbourne has been the main benefactor of that. Brisbane significantly lower at 18,000, almost 19,000 people. So Melbourne's suffering through, obviously, right now. It's the lockdown. We won't dive into the political side of that, but the lockdown and what that's causing in terms of the broader Melbourne economy. Added to that will be obviously Melbourne largely reliant in terms of its population growth and the housing demand on net overseas migration. If we then add another layer to that, before we jump on to the next slide, Michael, when we add another layer, which is domestic migration, there's obviously a lot of conversation, not a lot of data yet, but a lot of conversation around people from both Sydney and particularly Melbourne migrating north. Now, I personally know half a dozen people that have moved from Melbourne to Queensland who had no intention of doing so, and we're seeing that being added to with inquiry from national businesses looking at relocate their headquarters from Melbourne to Queensland, be it Gold Coast, Brisbane or Sunshine Coast. So Brisbane is obviously suffering significantly less through overseas migration, and my view is that migration that we were getting from overseas is going to be offset by the internal migration from our southern states.
Adam, just on that, the number of people who are keen on having a second property in Queensland for obvious reasons, if you own a property, you actually can travel across a border, is incredibly leading into. So, you know, if you've got clients in Sydney and also in Melbourne who have been looking at investment strategy in the local market, they may be redefining that now to have something in the Southeast Queensland marketplace.
And Michael, we're actually seeing that. So the guys from Stockland, we're very close to. We had a conversation with them this morning. They said the biggest change, apart from a substantial spike and the largest sales numbers ever in the Queensland market, the biggest change that they have seen is what I'll call multiple purchases. So savvy investors aren't just buying one property, they're buying something at Newport, they're buying something at Aura, they're buying something down at Kalina. So there are multiple purchases of properties in recognition of what's happening in the Queensland marketplace. So it's really, Queensland is it's the hotspot right now.
Which basically means they're looking at both return and capital growth as being that beautiful combination to take advantage of.
Absolutely, and there's been a comment by one of our team saying valuation being the biggest challenge, and it's absolutely the biggest challenge where we're seeing 10% shortfalls, and unfortunately that's not going to get any better. Valuations will continue to be a challenge, particularly as we're seeing a market uplift in sale prices. You are all going to need to ensure you have conversations with your buyers to ensure that they have both got the capacity to withstand shortfalls in valuations and are also willing to, guys. With a rising market, valuations are looking in the rear, valuers are looking in the rear view mirror So that gap, if anything, is going to widen. So that's if there's a downside to all of this, it is valuations, guys. So you need to think about that.
And Adam, if I could just chip in, the word I like in there is buffer. So let's have a look at the buffer you're going to have, because valuations haven't caught up with what's happened in terms of the increase in value. So, yeah, great.
Absolutely, totally agree, Michael. But yeah, you have to have those conversations. So these are slides, guys. There's a blend of slides. I just wanted to ensure you've got some context. So I'll push through these quickly. This is Sunshine Coast Regional Council talking about lot approvals, and this is Matusik data to reference where the information's from. So Matusik lot approvals dropping substantially from 16 to 2020. We look at lot pricing. So we've looked right across Southeast Queensland, guys, and looked at in each LGA, we've gathered a number of price lists from both April and October on the same estates. So if we move to the next slide, Mike, we'll see what's happened at the Sunshine Coast. So in April this year, a 375 to 400 square metre allotment. So that's a 12.5 metre wide lot and either a 30 or a 32 deep grid. Prices on projects have moved from $264,000 up to $288,000. So that's a 9% increase in the Sunshine Coast, guys. So substantial in a 6-month period. The reality is that more of that happened from about June onwards. About 80% of that actually happened from June till now. So it's more, you could actually call that a 3-month window, but we wanted to take it back from April when we really started to see the front end of COVID. So that's put some real pricing pressure on the Sunshine Coast. If we move on next.
And obviously, Adam, not only pricing pressure, but also the willingness for a developer to negotiate around how that lot might be held and for how long it's held and so on.
Well, it's how long it's held, the contract process, pre-approvals, it's contract turnaround times, it's whether they're happy to have investors in there as opposed to owner-occupiers. So it's all of those things that as a business, I know that some of you are feeling, I'll use the phrase, pressured sometimes from our contracts team saying we need to turn this contract around. We're not doing that to put undue pressure on your buyers at all, but we're doing it because we're getting told from vendors that they will not continue holding contracts. So I think it's again about pre-framing, letting your buyers know that from the time they receive the contract, everything's done DocuSign now, so that they have to understand that they can get a PDF copy of both the land and the building contract. They get that, have 48 hours to look at that. Then they'll get the DocuSign documents through. They have to get that turned around in 24 hours, or we're getting pressure from land vendors saying, look, we'll take the lot back and we'll sell it to someone else. So you have to understand that's not us putting pressure on, but if we want to access that stock where there's very, very limited supply, then we have to play by those rules, guys. So really, really important. Moreton Bay Regional Council, again dropping approvals. If we then overlay the pricing in Moreton Bay Regional Council, if we move to the next slide, Michael, you'll see that Moreton Bay has increased by 7% from about $284,000 up to about $302,000, $303,000. When we get a little further in this in the presentation, I'm actually going to break Moreton Bay into 2 parts, what I'll call Moreton Bay South and Moreton Bay North. So I'm really going to talk about Mango Hill, North Lakes, Launton, Rothwell as one pocket in terms of pricing, and then Caboolture, Morayfield as a separate pocket, because there really is a substantial shift in pricing there, guys. But notwithstanding, prices in Moreton Bay have moved substantially. If we move on to Brisbane City Council, lot approvals dropped somewhat. Pricing, however, substantial increase. So from sort of high 380s in April up to almost 430,000. So this is looking at across a number of projects, guys, from Rochedale, Bridgeman Downs, Callum Vale, Pollara. So we've got a selection of projects We had price listing in April, October, and so Brisbane City Council see an 11% price increase, and I would again venture to suggest that it's more so from June to October than in fact April. So substantial increases. Brisbane almost out of reach for most of the buyers that we deal with now. We move on to Redland Shire Council, very, very low lot of approvals. Looking at the sale prices, about a 5% increase, not as much product out in Redland Shire Council, as most of you will know. Really, there's a couple of small infill developments. The only project of any scale is the Lendlease project, Shoreline, but even on Shoreline, there's been a 5% increase on a new project. So again, an upward trend, up over $300,000, getting right to the upper end for both our first home buyers and for our investors, guys. But for an investor that can extend to that price point, a fantastic corridor to consider. Really, really strong rental incomes there if you've got a buyer that can stretch to that 560 to 580 mark. Okay, if we move on to Logan. Logan lot approvals. We know that this is one of the corridors where there are more block approvals coming through. The change that is coming at Logan is that there's been more, those of you that attended the last Sales Navigator, there's been more smaller projects through that period. What is changing now? A lot of them are washing through, so there'll be less projects but larger, what I'll call master plan projects. If we look at the pricing, what that's meant for Logan, it hasn't actually increased over the last 6 months, but in my view, that's going to change because you've seen a significant amount of supply wash through with those, with a larger number of smaller projects. That's diminishing now, guys. So this is one of the areas that we're going to talk about as an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for two parts. One, affordability, and the other part is supply. Move on to Ipswich now. So diminishing supply of lot approvals for Ipswich. Then if we look at pricing, an increase of 2% in Ipswich from about 196,700 up to about $200,000, again for 375 to 400. That's changing rapidly, guys. The stuff that the projects we're looking at there, some of the stuff at 6 Mile Creek, some of what I'll call residual stock out in Ripley Valley, a lot of that is washing through. Even some of the product in around Redbank Plains, Collingwood Park, a lot of that's washing through. So you're going to see, in my view, that price growth in Ipswich will be very different over the next 6-month period to what we've seen thus far. Moving on to Gold Coast, very limited supply on the Gold Coast. As a consequence, if we look at the lot price on the Gold Coast, $317,000 has moved up to about $341,000 in that 6-month period. Very few projects now on the Gold Coast. There's a little bit of stuff down Foxwell Road in terms of the QM estate. Very difficult to get investment product in there. Foreshore, all but sold out. And the guys from Mirvac at Gainsborough are a bit of a challenge to deal with, guys. So 9% increases. So for anyone that's bought in the Gold Coast in the last 6 months, or even the last 12 months for that matter, it's an opportunity to go back to that buyer, reflecting on Michael's conversation about referrals. You've got a really good story to tell, guys. Okay, moving on. So South East Queensland, lot of approvals. We've seen a dip from 20-odd thousand, 21,000 in 2017 down to just under 12,000 in 2020. If we then look at the pricing matrix, so this is SEQ combined. So we started in April at about 265,000. That's moved up to just under $290,000, guys. So an increase across the board of about 6%. So interesting when you look at the $290,000 and you put that against the median house price of $550,000 for Brisbane. If you were to add a 4-bedroom home that we build, call it $250,000, it's sitting in and about the median house price for Brisbane. So what I'm saying is the opportunity now comes from those more affordable suburbs that are down below that $290,000 mark. So if we move on now, Michael. So here's the South East Queensland plan, guys, and you'll note that the Sunshine Coast Regional Council looks in its old form with Noosa, Maroochy and Caloundra prior to its amalgamation, and likewise Caboolture, Pine Rivers and Redcliffe in its pre-amalgamated form. And I've done that because I think that in general terms, you could take Redcliffe and Pine Rivers and call that Moreton Bay South, and called Caboolture Moreton Bay North. And there's a distinct difference in price points with those two locales. So what I've looked at is what I'll call a stock supply index. And you'll see it's done in what I'll call traffic light format in the top left of the screen, where if there's high supply opportunity, then it's coloured green, medium supply opportunity, it's coloured orange, and low if there's limited or no supply opportunity. So if we just jump into each of the LGAs now, Sunshine Coast, as we spoke about, $288,000. The reality is, if we can get stock for a 4-bedroom product, it's going to be $550,000. One of the things that's unique to the Sunshine Coast is that the design guidelines that they have in place there, be it at Avid, Harmony, there's a number of smaller projects, but not a lot. The design guidelines require additional articulation, treatments, etc., rainwater tanks, which push that house price up. So I would suggest to you that if we can get stock, you're at $550,000. So for those of you that are focused on selling the Sunshine Coast, I would say to you, if you want to have a volume business, you're going to need to look further afield. If we move on next to Moreton Bay North, so Moreton Bay North, I'm talking about being Caboolture, Morayfield, parts of Narangba, land at about $240,000, which means we'll bring in a dual dwelling at $490,000. So there's certainly more supply there than the Sunshine Coast guys. One of the challenges we're facing, of course,
Adam, that was a 4-bed at $490 or a dual at $540.
Correct, or a dual dwelling at $540. And the dual dwelling at $540 is coloured red because it's hard to access that stock. Okay, there's still an expectation in the marketplace that we would get 3 or 4 requests a day from our partners on a 3-bed, 2-bed dual dwelling under $500,000. I can say to you guys that that's yesterday's news. It's time to reset your thinking that if you want a 3-bed, 2-bed dual dwelling, 550 is the new number, and before we know it, it's going to be $600,000, and that's just the way it is for those buyers. The alternative to that is saying, okay, I want a dual dwelling. We've got a smaller dual dwelling that is a 2-bed, 1-bed, significantly cheaper. It's probably $50,000 or $60,000 cheaper. The immediate reaction from our sales partners is, oh, will it rent? What will the tenancy market be for it? I can tell you our 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom product is the first thing to rent. There is a huge vacuum in terms of supply of 1-bedroom dwellings. They get rented and they're rented before we have them completed. So thinking about dual dwellings, you're going to need to either move your pricing expectations and move your location expectations. Moreton Bay South, if you move on, Michael. Moreton Bay South, so now I'm talking about Deception Bay, Rothwell, Mango Hill, that pocket there. So land now for 400 square metre block, 375 to 400 is $300,000, and that's an entry price. We were fortunate enough to secure, I think, 4 lots at Rothwell Promenade, and they're about 375 square metres, and they're $295,000. So 4-bedroom product is now $550,000, which means, again, if you can get it, because it's coloured red, if you can get it, a dual dwelling is going to be $600,000 there, guys. Again, really important to remember with Moreton Bay Regional Council, there's 2 distinct secondary dwelling sizes that we can put into Moreton Bay Regional Council. If the lot width is 15 metres, is larger than 15 metres, we can go to a 55 square metre secondary dwelling, which means we can do 2 bedrooms. Anything 15 metres and under, it's 45 square metres, which means it's a 1-bedroom dwelling only. And of course, if you go to a 15 metre frontage, your land price as a consequence we'll push. So I would dare to suggest if you wanted a 3-bed, 2-bed dual dwelling in what I'll call Moreton Bay South, you're going to be 350 on the land, you're going to be 300 on the house, so it's a 650k package. So it's time you've just got to reset the thinking, guys. Moving on to Brisbane, land $420,000, and I can speak to a project that we developed, guys, in Bald Hills. Early lots that we sold there were at $285,000. We had some lots that came back onto the market. Those $285,000 lots moved to $340,000 for some late ones that came back on the market. So there's been a substantial move in that market. So you can expect to be at $420,000 for land and $670 for an entry price package in Brisbane City Council. Again, fantastic product, but for a select few, I would suggest. If we then look at Gold Coast, so land, Gold Coast, again, very, very tightly held. Land's at $350,000, can't do dual dwellings. You're at the best part of $590,000 for a 4-bed, 2-bar, double garage property on the Gold Coast, if you can get it. So for those buyers that are thinking about Gold Coast, my suggestion to you is see if you can pivot them to, I'll call it Eastern Logan, into even the likes of Bar Scrub, those sorts of areas, because you're going to find it very, very difficult to get them into Gold Coast Council. There is a bit of product coming online, but not a lot, guys. Okay, moving on. Logan City Council. So we spoke about land prices at Logan City Council and also about supply. So there's more supply in Logan for both 4-bedroom product and for dual dwellings. Land circa 240k for Logan. There are some pockets that I'll talk to that I believe that I haven't endorsed historically, but I'm going to go out now and say that I really support. But about 240k traditionally, so at about 480k for a package in Logan. For dual dwelling, it's about $560,000 in Logan. One of the things to remember about Logan City Council, again, is the lot size. It needs to be a minimum of 15-metre frontage, 450 square metres, and there is that additional set of infrastructure charges. So it's an impost that's about $13,500. We can't get around it. So it has pushed that dual price up slightly. But if you compare that to the red traffic light up at Moreton Bay, guys, if you're thinking about dual dwellings, you have to get your head around Logan. And there's some fantastic stories coming out now about Logan, some huge infrastructure spending about with industrial estates that are both the powerhouse for Logan and also provide the economic engine for southern Brisbane, for Redlands and for the Gold Coast. So there is a good story to tell about Logan, and you need to get your head around that if you're in a business where you're wanting to do volume, guys. Okay. Let's move on to Springfield, and I've separated out Springfield from Ipswich in the same way that I've done with Moreton Bay Regional Council, north and south, guys. Springfield has its own, I'm going to call it economy, its own ecosystem now, and land is substantially more in Greater Springfield than it is the balance of Ipswich. Springfield land at about $300,000, big increases in Kalina and in Spring Mountain, difficulties in accessing stock, 4-bedroom product from about $580,000. One of the challenges that most of you know about Springfield is the topography, so there will be site costs, which adds to the complexity and the cost of those designs, which of course puts added pressure on valuations. Fantastic location, really, really good infrastructure. So again, it's colour lighted orange, but it's almost at that red stage, guys, in terms of supply. If we then jump to Ipswich, different story. So I would categorise Ipswich more like Logan in terms of both supply and pricing. So land from $220,000 or thereabouts, 4-bed product from $450,000, dual dwellings for about $550,000. For those of you that don't yet have your head around Ripley Valley, I implore you to do so. And it's on us to get you some information, but guys, you have to get your head around that. If you're wanting, again, continuity of supply, there's some great things happening in Ipswich City Council, and in particular Ripley Valley. It has come of age. The road network is great. It doesn't yet have rail, but there's a Ripley Town Centre that's forming that really is getting it to a point where it has to be on your radar and on your radar now. Michael, do you want to, you got something to say just so I can have a drink of water, mate?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You've been a delivery machine there, and what a great sort of snapshot of. Hang on, I'm getting some feedback. You guys hear that as well?
Guys, if there's any questions, it gives me an opportunity to have a quick drink.
So I think the first thing is, Adam, that would be a useful summary. Would you be happy if we created a tool from a marketing point of view that just had that as a summary? Because what we did is we brought up one and then dropped the other one off. If we had those all on there, that's a great kind of navigation tool to work out where to actually go to help a client with their investment strategy.
Absolutely. Yeah, more than happy to share it, guys. So we'll get Nelson to consolidate that and share it out to everyone that's attended today, guys. And the information applies. So I'm talking about dual dwellings, but as importantly, 4-bedroom, whether you're in the owner-occupier space or the investment space, all of this logic applies, guys.
And keep in mind, I think the other thing we need on that document is this is the moment in time. So you know, looking at the predictability of business between now and the end of this year, and even in 2021, we've got to get good at selling these particular areas, because that's where the land supply is going to be able to deliver on for clients.
I've got someone that's asked, which suburbs of Brisbane or towns you suggest to invest if we are looking to buy in wholesale about 10 or 20 lots? I would suggest if you're talking about Brisbane, looking to buy wholesale lots, I don't believe it'll happen for you. No developer, and I'll sit in my seat right now. If I had a project in Brisbane that had a 40-lot subdivision, I wouldn't sell 10 or 20 lots to one entity. There's from a risk management, a lost opportunity in terms of price escalation. I'd be staggered if anyone out in the marketplace right now would go and do a bulk deal with someone on 10 or 20 lots. Where
could you get a bulk deal, do you think, Adam?
So when I see the suburbs of Brisbane or towns, it will be very difficult for someone that is unknown to a developer to go and acquire that much stock right now. You need to have, in Southwest Queensland right now, you need to have a relationship with someone that has a relationship with the developer. So Gallery Group, for instance, could help to broker a deal, because we have those relationships, be it with Stockland, be it with Glen Lease, be it with Villa World, other private developers. We have those relationships to be able to do that. But you certainly couldn't do that on a project right now. No developer would go and do that in bulk.
Rashesh just brought up a good point here. It is in Tanet, in terms of the Melbourne marketplace, they bought 40 lots and successfully finished them since Feb. So, and Rashesh is, can we talk further around being able to secure that? There's probably more chance in Melbourne, would you agree, at the moment, for an appetite for a developer to take that on? But see, Feb is a market even in Melbourne than it is now.
There is more of an appetite. There would be a greater likelihood of being able to do it in Melbourne. Again, Melbourne's supply in terms of title stock has diminished significantly. I think the challenge that we might see with Melbourne, and these are, I won't share who these conversations are with, but I've had conversations with people that run substantial land supply businesses in Melbourne. Their greatest concern for sales next year in Melbourne, and from a pricing perspective, is migration or immigration. There is a strong belief that there will be an exodus from Melbourne to Queensland, and then when you take out that 78,000 people each year that move into Australia, into Melbourne, there's some real concern around what's going to happen in the Melbourne market, and buying at today's price, there is an expectation in Melbourne that the pricing is going to come backwards. So, Rajesh, more than happy to talk offline. I'm sure ASR's probably got your details. More than happy to chat offline to see how we can assist you. And Owen, if you also reach out to ASR, we can certainly help you with your request as well, right? Okay. We might question about Perth. What about Perth? Is it in recovery stage? Is it a good time to go to Perth for bulk buy? Look, I don't know enough about the Perth market to be able to answer that with confidence. I think that's an answer for a Perth expert rather than me making a comment on the Perth market. We're just seeing all of the dialogue is around the Queensland market at the moment, guys. Okay.
If you can read that one from Darren fast, you're doing very, very well, Adam. That's a good one.
First, but I think a quick question. We're going to work from one CRM platform or ecosystem. I'll chat to you outside this, Darren, about that. I'll give you a shout outside this to talk to you about that, mate.
So, Adam, one of the things that would be incredibly useful, and I think this is the last slide, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what do we do with this information, guys? Yep.
So to me, Adam, one of the things that I think would be incredibly useful is the market, maybe sales partners, maybe clients who've got a view on those particular areas that probably need some more education as to what's happening. So you mentioned in Ipswich a particular development that was?
So Ripley Valley. So there's opportunities. Correct, yeah. Probably more central, but there's more opportunities. There's absolutely opportunities in Ripley Valley with some emerging supply, opportunities in Logan City Council, and I'm going to say that for those of us that haven't looked at it for some time, we actually need to look at Yarrabilba again, guys. So Yarrabilba is underpriced in as much as a 400 square metre block of land on 375 is sitting between $185,000 and $190,000. That's substantially under the market, right? There is significantly more infrastructure there than there was 2 years ago. My understanding is they've washed through a lot of the investment product that was there. They don't have high vacancy rates, so I would be putting Yarrabilba on the radar. So part of what we're going to do in the coming couple of weeks is get out and do some videos to help articulate what's happening in these corridors in Yarrabilba, Ipswich and Logan, so that we can educate you, to give you the confidence to educate your clients.
Yeah, so an important point is those videos also I could play on an iPad to a client, is that correct?
Correct, absolutely.
So tools for you, for your own education, but also tools to be able to utilise with the client. So look, here's the reason why I'm thinking this area. Here's some of the dynamics, or here are some of the fundamentals that why this particular area is so strong at this point in time.
And I've just had a comment come in saying that Yarrabilba is valuing really well, exclamation mark, on the dollar. So if that's not an endorsement, guys, I don't know what is. And that's from one of our partners that's active in that corridor. So for those of you that haven't been looking at it, make contact with ASR and put that absolutely on the radar. There's registered stock out there, it's flat, so we don't get burdened with high site costs. There's a good infrastructure story around it, and so we'll provide you with some more information.
So Adam, there's some neat next steps that potentially come out of this, and shall we move to those? Absolutely,
yeah, great idea. We've run over a bit, guys. I apologise, but I think it's invaluable stuff. So point one, we all need to shift our focus to where supply is available, guys. If if Gold Coast has been your thing or the Sunshine Coast has been your thing, again, those traffic lights, the red, green and amber, if there's no supply there, then you're going to need to look elsewhere. So, and now is the time to do that. Move to Ipswich, move to Logan, consider those locations. And again, in my view, the story there, guys, with the price points on the land, we're bringing package prices in well and truly under $500,000 with a median house price of $550. We've seen spikes on Sunshine Coast, Moreton Bay, Gold Coast, Redlands and Brisbane. It stands to reason that Ipswich and Logan will go next. So those of you that, for those clients that didn't get onto the elevator earlier this year, there's a new escalator that is Logan and Ipswich. So it's an opportunity to ride that curve upward by shifting your direction.
And I think, Adam, this is a really important point, that every client that I think you've met with in the last 18 months who hasn't done a transaction, who for whatever reason didn't progress, I think it's worthwhile revisiting those with certainly a care call and a value call, and give them some updated intel on what's happening in the market, and is it worthwhile pursuing the discussion around their investment property. You know, there might be some clients who say, no, I'm putting these ones off to the side, we're not going to contact those. So I guarantee there's some opportunities there for quick wins. I think, Adam, this next strategy, you know, the team... There's
what I would describe as low-hanging fruit, guys, and there's, over the last 12 months, if we looked at our business, there's a significant number of cancellations that have taken place, and people have cancelled for varying reasons. It could have been COVID job losses, it could have been a valuation issue, finance, who knows what it is, but that care call that Michael just spoke about, they're to have a look at your cancelled sales for the last 12 months, go back and touch base with those people. That's the first place to look, rather than going out and talking to new people. Do that. The next point, really important, we've had a number of our groups where we've spoken to them about what I'll call templated packages. So I'll pick a project like, I'll say, we'll use Yarrabilba as the example, because we know there's ongoing supply and we've got some consistency around the pricing. We create a package for a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, double garage home. We can set the land price at 190 right now, and probably for the next month or two, it'll be between 185 and 190. So we package it up with a 190 land price, you put our house price on it, and you use that as a template. You present that to your buyer, and if the buyer says, yes, I want to proceed, then we go out and find the actual lot. So you get a sales advice based on the template, and then we ask for the stock from the vendor with a sales advice in hand. The reality is that land price is going to be $1,000, $2,000, or $4,000 cheaper. You're then going to come back to the buyer with good news, with a cheaper package than you put them in the first instance, and it will save you an enormous amount of time, guys. So we can have templated packages in a number of key locations, what we call platinum projects, where we know there's continuity of supply, and I guarantee you that will save you 10%, 15% of your day trying to screen for product.
I think, Adam, the other side of this, and I totally endorse this, the other side of this is, from a client point of view, from an investor point of view, the speed at which this can happen is incredibly high value. So if I get excited about it and then it takes a week or 10 days to get back to me around something, or we're pushing gallery to get something through, as opposed to, no, we can get a sales advice now based on the templated package and progress the process much faster, which is fantastic.
Look, one of the challenges, Michael, is in the market that we're in, things are moving quickly from a land supply, and I suspect everyone here has experienced, yes, it's available, no, it's not. Okay, and that's much harder to pivot when you're pivoting from one block to another. But if you're not having to pivot if it's an example product. So I think it improves timing. Certainly from our perspective, if you look at our activity in the month of September, it was our busiest month ever. we wrote 77 contracts for the month. So that's getting from land developers, 77 land contracts, 77 build contracts, bundling together and getting them out to buyers. It's a lot of work to get through. So I apologise where we've been slower than our service standards, but it has been an enormous spike in numbers. And all the information I'm getting back from our public company, larger developers, is that's continuing. So it's how we message that and pre-frame that to our clients that sets us up for success.
And I think there's another point on here, and then I'd like to just go back to the pre-framing, because I think that's absolutely essential. Because having this information and not sharing it, potentially, you guys do this all the time, but me as an investor, well, I don't know what the pathway is. So we've got to educate them on this process. Absolutely. Oh.
Absolutely, and that's then educate our buyers on our new areas and actually talk to them about the process, so that pre-framing, so they know what they can expect. Yeah.
So if we can be in the mode of saying, all right, what do we need to take out of this? And I will attempt to do a quick job around this. Is number one, we've got to educate ourselves on some of these areas that we may not have had on the top of our shopping list, and look at, well, why are those absolutely key in the process, Adam? So that's the first instance. Then secondly, we've got to be able to communicate to a client in simple, easy ways. And I love the three, and you've heard me talk about this at Sales Accelerator for those who've been there, and that is, number one, what is it about this area that makes this a great area to live in, to invest in, to own? And the reason why live is next, so, hang on, Michael, this is investment property. No. If it's a great area to live in, it means vacancies are low. It means that it's a great product to actually own as investment property. Then secondly, what is it about this particular development that makes it unique? And then what is it that some of the uniques about this particular build that Gallery do? And that's everything from, that extra coat of paint that you guys do, to the quality of having the portal to be out for a client to see what the journey is, to some of the unique things that you do in the build that take extra effort but make a big difference in terms of the quality of either a rental property or a property for someone to move into as a first home buyer. So there's some neat work to do on some new pre-frames in the process. I think the other one that needs to be in there is urgency, Adam. So we've got to work fast to be able to secure a lot in these market conditions. So they're aware of that. And clearly then that buffer zone we talked about earlier, a buffer zone in your calculation. So let's put a buffer in of X%, and therefore we're covered based on our shortfall, knowing that valuation, I love the way I said that, is a historical look in the rear vision mirror, not looking out the windscreen as to what's happening in the marketplace. And then the final thing I think would be great to frame up is some of the dynamics of the Southeast Queensland marketplace. We did more work on that last time, but I think, Adam, in your videos, if you could do Southeast Queensland, then this particular region, and then this particular development, when you do those updates, it's incredibly useful for our sales partners to have as a tool to advance that.
Yeah, and guys, absolutely, Michael. Guys, so I'll just sort of jump to that feedback form. So if you've got some specific ideas, requests, again, please put it through to us, because if we get 3 or 4 people saying the same thing, we know that likely there's another dozen or 20 people looking at it and saying, that would help me. I think it's really interesting when you look at the positioning of Gold Coast and its pricing at $350,000, and you look at where Springfield is. You have to go through Logan to get to Springfield, and you've got 350 here, 300 here, and 230 here. It's quite clear to me that Logan Council is going to move, particularly with the substantial amount of infrastructure spending that's coming into there. So it's time, guys, to I'll say, reset the thinking and give the likes of Logan and Ipswich another opportunity, because if you don't, you're going to be sitting there with nothing to sell, quite frankly, right? And there's lots and lots of work happening in those corridors. It's time to reinvest in time.
Adam, I know we're planning to do a sort of a snapshot before, a snapshot after. Should we do that in our next session, more so than this one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know that we've run over time, so.
Or in actual fact, we could even do a record of that and have that as a tool for the guys to play at a sales meeting or something along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. There's just been a question: can we have a display home walkthrough for Sydney investor clients? Guru, just touch base with ASR about that. I think we've got what you're looking for, so maybe it just hasn't been shared with you. But certainly check that with ASR, and if it's something that we don't have, we'll certainly do it again, because if you're asking for it, likely other people will use it also.
Yeah. Look, Adam, this has been fantastic. One, I really have enjoyed sharing some time with you and going through and sharing with your colleagues around, okay, what's the framework for building referrals and increasing that. That potentially has the impact of dramatically, and as you say, a 30% of business overall. And I would like to see that to growth in 30%, not replacing it. So it's a great growth opportunity. People are looking for great advisors. People are looking for a pathway. They're looking for someone to lead them through the process. And the more armed you are with the information, Adam, that you've shared and continue to share through these sales navigators, I just think it really does give the sales partners, each of you, the opportunity to be able to invest some time, internalize the relevant components, develop a couple of cheat sheets as well. So you literally, bring up a sheet and say, here are 3 or 4 things that this particular region makes it such a strong area to live in, to invest into, to own in. And I think with those tools that you're developing around the areas, that's going to make a massive difference to what we can do. And then, of course, the templated packages, so we can move forward faster with sales advices. I think, once again, that really will resonate well with clients, particularly knowing that some government incentives that have windows of time to be able to capitalise on too.
I hope everyone, it's been a helpful almost hour and a half, guys. Thank you all for taking that time out of your day, and any feedback we can get to make it better for the next time, we'd love to take on board. Michael, once again, thank you for sharing your time with this audience and our partners. Hope it's been invaluable, guys, and look forward to the borders opening, and not only you getting up here, but us getting down to Sydney and Melbourne and those other places to catch up for a glass of wine, a bite to eat, and helping drive business forward, guys.
Fantastic. All the best, and thanks for being part of Sales Navigator.
Thanks very much, guys. Signing off.